Hi, Kitty Pies. It's Lanikia, and I'm coming to you with another episode of the Equalizer Season 2, Episode 14, called Pulse. And this episode, let me just move certain people out of the way. Um, this episode starts out with a woman. We find out her name is Marcella. She's on top of a building and she's looking down, and you could tell whatever she's looking at, she's not supposed to be seeing, but she's spying. And she hears people in the background, and she hears a door open, and she starts running towards the door, and she takes the two men down who are trying to essentially kill her because she's not supposed to be seeing this information. So then she's on the run. Then they go to Robin, who is with Aunt Vi and Dee. And Aunt Vi is going to meet her friend that she connected with, about the sketch and everything. She's going to meet her. They're not asking any questions. They're just going with the flow of everything. And so Dee is like, oh, I'm going to, she needs to ride to school. And then Vi's going to take her because Robin said she's going to go and check on Dante. And they asked how he's doing. And she says he's hanging in there and everything. And they said, well, so Dee was like, so what are y'all, like, friends? What's going on? And she says, don't you got to get ready for school? So then they're like, you didn't answer the question. And Vi says, sometimes a no answer is an answer. And so Robin goes and she meets with Vanessa, who is at Dante's house, and she was like, I thought you were going back to work. And she was like, no, I haven't went back yet. She has went back, but she's still helping Dante out by picking up the kids and doing everything while he recuperates. But he's in rehab at the moment. His occupational therapist is there, so he can't speak to Robin. And so they talk and everything, and she could tell that Robin really cares for Dante. And she says he's doing well physically, like he's on the mend, but he's not talking. Vanessa tells Robin he's not talking to her, telling her what's going on in his mind because he doesn't want it to add stress to the boys. So then Robin gets a call and she tells Vanessa, I got to take this. And Vanessa was like, I'll tell him when you stop by. So the call is from Marcella, and she's speaking like, gosh, I hate that I forget it, but she's speaking Tango, Delta, Alpha, and she lets Robin know that meet me at this location now. And so Vanessa is Marcella is in the car on the way, and Robin is like, because she hears the whole thing or whatever, and then Marcella hangs up. And so she tells Harry and Mel, who are, in Harry's at their workstation. She tells them, she calls them and tells them that she just got an interesting call, and it was from Marcella, who used to be in the CIA, and she was Robin was Marcella's mentor. And she wants her to meet her at some location, but she doesn't know why she's reaching out to her. So she tells Harry and Mel, just to dig into it, and they say okay. Now Harry and Mel got a friend. They have a friend, Polly, who was Harry's best friend. But he didn't go to Harry's funeral, and Harry's being petty, and he's like, I'm not gonna talk to him because Mel is like, Polly called and he said he thought he saw you, but he thinks it's crazy. He has to be crazy or whatever. And Harry's like, he should have came to my funeral. Who does that? Who doesn't come? Okay, now hang with me now, because this is gonna get like, okay. So Robin goes to Marcella's place, right? And she goes in, and Marcella has been shot. Somebody shot through her window and killed her. Now, when Robin goes in, she's held at gunpoint by someone, but she ends up taking the gun away from him, doing a takedown. And he was like, oh, it's you, Robin McCall. I'm not so embarrassed to be, for this, to get the drop on me by you. And she was like, who are you? And he says, Griffin. He was Marcella's handler. So he was Marcella's bishop. What bishop is or was to Robin is what Griffin is to Marcella. Okay, so Robin, of course, is upset because she was, she trained Marcella. So she was like, man, I can't, like, what happened? He said, I know what you're thinking, but I had nothing to do with this. I got here a minute before you. That's what Griffin tells Robin. He said that the shot came long distance, and they look out the window and they're like, okay. Did anybody else say if she was really on the run and she was in the CIA and everything, why she ain't close the blinds and stuff? But anyway, I guess they could have still got it with heat detector. But anyways, so Robin looks on her wall, and it's this quote, a Bruce Lee quote, which reminds Robin of when she was training Marcella, and it was a guy that was bigger and stronger than Marcella, and he kept taking her down. And Robin said, "You can take him," and she was like, "He's bigger than." Marcella told her, "He's bigger than me. He's stronger than me." And she said, "Bruce Lee got to be the best at what he was because he spent hours training, and he got so much power that he could hit like a 350-pound man." And she said, "So you can do this." So then we see Marcella does succeed in everything, and when she's talking to Robin, she tells her, "Hey, she was biting her nails," and she tells Robin says, "Don't do that." And she says, "Oh, I'm just going to cut them." And Robin was like, "No." She said, "One time I had to get out with information, with very secure information. And the way I got out was actually putting a tiny microchip under my nails. And that's how I got the information out." And so Robin looks and she sees nail polish that, you could tell it was in a box, but it's on the floor and it had been dropped or something. And so she's like, huh. And so when Griffin turns his back, she goes under Marcella's nails and there's a microchip there. So she asked Griffin, what was Marcella doing? And he was like, she was on a before this, he said she was on leave because she had been on a mission um to take this woman Lou and to get her to safety, but Lou ended up getting murdered. And she was like, "Oh, so Beijing is sending a message or something." And so she's just like, "I have to look into this more to find out." But he won't give her information because he says, "You're either CIA or you're out." And she said, "Well, yeah, I'm out." So he won't give her any additional information. And so then she so then Robin tells Harry and Mel, what she found out about Marcella and everything. And Harry says he'll dig into it further for her. But when they look at the chip, so when they look, she meets up with them and they look at the chip under her nails. They see it was a bank transfer. Um, and they're like, okay, who were they transferring the money to? And so they said, let's look into um, Lou, who is the translator that Marcella couldn't get out, that was actually killed. And so they look at the pictures. She only had 3 pictures online, and so they look at the pictures and they said, okay, so there's one. Who was the girl in the photo with her? Because she was, hugging a girl in the photo, and they said that's another translator, maybe. So, anyways, they find out that the money transferred from this guy named Blank, because that's the bank account that Marcella had on the chip. They said, okay, it's going to this account. So let's find out whose account that is. And so they said that whoever it is, they have a plane coming in at this certain time. So Robin says, I'm going to go and talk to the translator. You guys go and do the stakeout. So Robin goes and talks to the translator, and she's asking her about Lou and everything. And she says, "Oh, well, she's out. She's been gone or whatever." They don't even know she's dead. But she's like, "She's been gone." And she was like, "Oh, that's a pretty bracelet." And she said, "Oh, it was hers. She gave it to me before she left." And so Robin's like, huh. Because they had already figured out that maybe she knew she was going to be killed and everything, because of messages that she had left that they were able to find. And just kept talking about Black, the widow. And so she was like, maybe they found out or something. Maybe she knew and she left some kind of clue. So when she says that, oh, she left me this bracelet, Robin's like, okay. So Robin shakes her hand and she takes the bracelet, and inside the bracelet there is a chip. And so Harry and Mel are doing stakeout, and she tells him, she says, listen to this message. And Polly is just like, I know it was crazy that I sent that message about Harry. I'm sorry. I know that probably upset you. And he was just like, I just want you to know I went to the church that day. I just could not go in because everybody deals with grief differently, and he just couldn't go into the church that day. And so Mel is just telling Harry, you need to just talk to him. And so they take pictures because the man comes off the plane and they take pictures and everything. So then when they go and they see all of the when they go and they see all the pictures, it's Mel, Robin, and Harry. Robin is like, that is Quinn. That's Mason Quinn, the guy who tried to kill me, the one that the CIA let get away. And so they find out that Quinn is paying Daniel Blake a lot of money for something, but they don't know what it is. And so she's like, well, I could get more information if I open the file. And so they're like, what? The file that, and the file is the one that Bishop gave her and told her never open this because like it goes way deeper than what you become obsessed with it. And so she's like, I have to open this file. I can't reach Bishop and everything, so I have to open this file. And so then when she opens the file, she reads all of it and she's like, it's a jigsaw puzzle. Like she doesn't know what Black Widow is. So they were like, well, can you ask Bishop? And she was like, no, he's gone for 2 months and he's in Europe taking care of something. He's radio silent. And then she was like, I have to talk to Griffin. And they said, but do you trust him? She was like, I don't have a choice at this point. So she reaches out to Griffin and she tells him, I need information on this file. And he was like, I'm supposed to trust you, but you're not going to trust me because they're meeting up. And she was like, listen, two things can happen. Either you look into this information and give it to me because you're innocent, or you have nothing to do with it and you want to find out who killed Marcella, or you don't and I know that you had something to do with it. So he looks into it for her. He's like, okay, let me look into it for her. But she does let him know that it could be people in the CIA involved. And he was like, oh my gosh, my job. But he wants to find out who did this to Marcella, so he agrees. So then we see Dante and Vanessa talk, and he still won't open up to her, but she does say, "Oh, your friend came by today," and he was like, I heard her voice," and she was like, "Listen, from that flicker, she cares for you," and she was like, "And from that flicker of a smile that I see, I know you care for her too. So if you're not gonna talk to me, I get it, but talk to her at least." And he's like, "Okay, I'll think about it." So then we find out from Griffin. He calls Mel when Robin is with Mel and Harry. He calls and he says, "Listen, that file you told me about, that is about Black Widow." He says it's apparently this flight 127. It lost power and it dropped like a stone out of the air. And what was crazy was the black box had nothing on it. And he says that Bishop's in on it. So Bishop is looking into this as well. And so that's what Bishop's doing in Europe, trying to figure out what's going on with this whole, black box and everything. Excuse me, with this whole with the whole widow and everything. And he's trying to dig in and see why was the translator killed and everything. So that's what one of the reasons Bishop is in Europe. And so when they're talking about this, and so they're like, okay, so they see a Russian engineer is connected as well, and they're like, what does he have to do? And they was like, well, if it's have to do with a black box and it took something out of the air, then maybe they have a weapon, and that's what Blake is selling Quinn. And if he's selling him a weapon that can take a plane out of the air, then that's dangerous in Quinn's hands. So the weapon is called EMP. Um, so they're looking for. So they're like, they know where the weapon is, or they think they do, because they're like, okay, it's probably at this warehouse. And Robin is gonna go, and Mel and Harry are like, no, we don't think you should go by yourself. And she's like, I have to go and investigate to see if the weapon is still there. And you two need to stay here and and continue to dig and look through files and find out any more information you can. And so they were like, well, at least call Griffin. Like, I mean, at a last stitch effort, call him. And so she does end up calling him, and they go and look for the weapon. And when they get there, the weapon is already gone. So the weapon is already gone, and there's nothing they can do. So they figure, oh, Blake is going to demonstrate the weapon for Quinn. Now Mel is just like, I'm not going to sit here and stay around here. I'm going to go and have her back. So she leaves and she goes to cover Robin's back just in case she needs her. So they're looking. So they find out. Okay, they're about to do the weapon now. And so they're trying to figure out like what plane are they using to do the weapon on, because it could take a plane out of the sky. And Harry figures out that the plane that they're going to use is actually Bishop's plane, because it's a private jet coming in and it's Bishop. And they were like, Quinn would try to take Bishop down because he knows Bishop is onto him. So they're trying to get there to stop it from happening. And then she tells Harry, you got to divert the plane. Like, you got to try to reach out to divert the plane. And Harry's like, Robin, do you realize what you're asking me? Like, you're telling me to log in to the airwaves, and that's a felony, you know? And she's like, Harry, I need you to do this, because if you don't, then he's going to kill Bishop. So Robin and Griffin go, and she's like, okay, we see these many, they're at the place where Blake is trying to demonstrate the weapon for Quinn. So they're there now. And she's like, okay, we need to stop this. And he was like, we are outmanned, ma'am. And his backup is not going to be there for like 30 minutes. And she says, okay, we need to cut the power. So she says, stay right here. So he stays, and she goes, and she's like, okay, I see a way. She sees a way they can cut the power. So she goes back to get him. But when she goes back, Quinn is there, and he has Griffin outnumbered, and he's there. So they have Robin and Quinn now. Excuse me, Robin and Griffin now, and Blake and Quinn are just like, well, Quinn is taunting Robin like, you always try to get me, but you never can get me. I don't know when you're gonna give up. He was like, you think that you being an honest person and for what's right and everything gives you the drive or whatever. He's like, that's just an anchor. Like, you can't even get me because you try to do it the right way. And so they're looking, and they see the plane come in the air. Now on Harry's end, he is trying to stop this plane. So he taps in and he tells them to land. And air controller is like, we don't know who he is. Don't listen to him. Keep flying. And then the pilot tells Harry, stop playing around, Joker. Like, this is a federal offense, and you're gonna enjoy jail time for this. So finally, Harry just tells them at the last few minutes, he tells them, listen, I know this is Bishop's plane. I know Bishop is on that plane. Tell him this is coming from McCall. He needs to divert the plane, that Quinn is onto him or whatever. And so then the pilot says, hold on. So, and then the pilot comes back, and you can hear the worry in his voice when he's like, we need authorization to land this plane or whatever. And they're like, yes, they're going to land. But at the same time, the weapon has locked into the plane. And, Robin tries to do something, but they're out, man. They can't do anything, her and Griffin. And so for a minute there, you think, oh, okay, they're going to get away because he's about to, do a nosedive, and they don't have the target locked or whatever, so they can't use the weapon. But actually, it was too late. By the time the pilot finally listened to Harry, it just took him too long, and they shot the plane down, and it went into the ocean, and I guess I'm assuming everyone on the plane died. And they're like, oh my God, Robin's real upset, and Griffin is in shock, and Blake is like, what do you want us to do with these two? Because Quinn has told him, oh, this is a good weapon right here. Transfer the money over. And he's like, and Quinn was just like, with Griffin and Robin, kill them. I don't care. And so they're about to kill them, but then Mel comes through, and, because she's the sniper, and she starts picking off their men or whatever. And then she shoots the handcuffs that Robin has, and Robin helps get the rest of the men, and then Griffin actually gets Blake, knocks him down. I was like, Blake, what? How Quinn get away and Blake denied? But anyways, Quinn is already on his. Mason is gone. He is on his helicopter. Robin shoots at it. It wasn't. You wasn't gonna stop him, and he is gone. And he he's out. Like he got away again. So then we see that Robin, Mel, and Harry are at the bar, and they take a drink, and they're just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Bishop is gone and Quinn got away. But I'm sorry, before that, Robin went back to Quinn's because she the weapon was still available to use, so she locked in on Quinn's plane, and she was about to shoot it down with the weapon, but Mel talked her out of it because she said, if you do that, all those casualties that you're going to be killing because of Quinn, it's not worth it. And they said target locked, but she couldn't press the button because she's just like, you're right. And so she didn't do it. So then we see Mel, Harry, and Robin having a drink, and they can't believe Bishop is gone and everything, and just and that she kind of was blaming herself, and they said, no, it's not your fault, and she was like, you know what, you're right. It's Quinn's fault. And I think this is going to just be one of those people that maybe the final season she'll finally get him. You know what I mean? I think because every show has that, where it's that nemesis that they can't get. They always elude them. And so I think this is for her, but I think she has an extra, the drive and desire to get him because of what he's done with Bishop. So then we see that she tells him, Quinn did it, and you could just tell she's going after Quinn. And so we see Harry's friend Polly shows up, and Mel is like, "Look who's here!" And Harry was like, "You know what? After everything that happened with Bishop, I why be petty? Why, I'm alive and I want to be, hang out with my friend." So Polly comes up and he hugs him. He says, "I'm so happy you're alive and everything." So it was a nice reunion. And then we see Robin go over to Dante's, and he can tell she's upset, and he's like, "Is everything okay?" And she says, "No, I lost a really good friend, and I just need somebody to talk to." And he was like, "I get it. I understand that." And so she goes in, and I guess they're going to, talk and comfort each other and everything. And that was the Equalizer, guys. Well, I mean, we knew Chris was going to have to leave some. I didn't know they were going to kill him off. I didn't know they were going to kill him off. I was wondering how they were going to get rid of him. Not that way, but I figured at the beginning of the episode when they started showing Griffin, I was like, is he to be trusted? I was like, but he got to be trusted, because this is the perfect way to pull him in, so that he could take Bishop's place. Like, he could be her CIA person, that if she really needs information, she could go to him. And I guess that's what they're doing. But we knew they were going to, well, I mean, we knew they had fired Chris, but I guess this is how they're going to do it. But that was the Equalizer, guys. I hope I got everything together, because when they started doing all these different, okay, it's a box, and it's Black Widow and Black Window and all that, I'm like, oh, let me try. I'm trying to keep up so I can give it to y'all. But anyways, that was the Equalizer. I hope you guys enjoy. I will see you next week for a new episode. Bye.